Hi, my name is Matthew Casserly, and I work here at Yandex in the International Sales Department. Today we're going to talk about what dynamic ads actually are, how they differ from other ad types, which businesses can get the most out of dynamic ads, how to create them, setting up dynamic text ad targets, bid management, and statistics, where to find them and how to use them. Let's take a look at what dynamic ads are and how they can help you and your business. Let's say that your online store has a huge number of similar products that you need to create ads for. Creating ads for such a product range will take a lot of time and resources since each of your products requires its own ad. Then, once your ads are ready, you have to make sure they remain up to date by adding information about current promotions, stopping impressions for products no longer in stock, creating ads for new products, changing landing pages, etc. Basically, it's a slow, labor-intensive process. This video lecture will cover a tool that Yandex offers advertisers to automate the process of creating and updating ad campaigns for online stores, comparison sites for plane tickets, and other types of businesses. And this tool is Dynamic Ads in Yandex.Direct. Yandex.Direct generates ads for your products based on the data on your site or using a product feed. Yandex.Direct also automatically selects ad titles, keywords, and landing pages for dynamic ads. All you need to do is set the rules that determine how your ads are generated, as in which product groups need ads. And then write your ad texts. Yandex.Direct will automatically generate your dynamic ads based on your site or product feed. Over the course of this video lecture, we'll see which data you need to get started. One thing we should note is that dynamic ads are currently in open beta testing. Open beta testing means that we are actively improving and perfecting this tool, while also expanding the list of businesses for which dynamic ads can be especially effective. When determining which businesses dynamic ads can be especially effective for, it's important to keep in mind how crawler bots work. For the crawler bots to be able to correctly choose keywords and a title for the dynamic ad generated, product names on the product page must contain relevant information. The ideal name contains as much information as possible, like the product type, manufacturer, model, size, color, etc. Remember that the more information the ad titles have, the more effective the ads generated will be. Most medium and large e-commerce sites already meet these requirements. Here in this table, you can see examples of good product names. For example, the product name Phone Samsung Galaxy S5 Black contains everything you could need to generate an ad. Keep in mind that Yandex users search for products in Russian, and Russian word order differs from English, so if these product names look a bit strange, that's why. Now that we've seen some good examples, let's have a look at some bad ones. If your page shows a picture of an oven and a product name Grill 1125, a user that visits this page will understand what the page is about, but for a robot, this information will be insufficient. What are the characteristics of bad product names? If your product name is short, if it is uninformative, if it contains words that can easily be misunderstood without context, then you've got a bad product name. If you read your product name and don't understand what it is without a picture next to it, or without further explanation, it is a bad product name. Now we've got an example of a good product name. Laptop Dell Vostro 5459. What makes this such a good product name? It tells us everything. We know what the product is, who made it, what model, and what make it is. The following businesses have the most to gain by launching dynamic ad campaigns: electronics and accessories, household appliances, industrial equipment, clothing, furniture, home and garden, sporting goods, construction materials, and, as we have already mentioned, we are working on expanding this list. The next thing I want to discuss is important for all your campaigns, not just dynamic ads. If you want to improve the effectiveness of your campaigns, you have to pay attention to how users search for your products. WordStat can help you in this regard, and you might be surprised in what different ways different users search for the same products. Let's take clothing as an example. Users can type in a search query like black Dior dress. If your products have names that resemble such search queries, creating dynamic ad campaigns is definitely a good idea. But if the products on your site have names like code, article 155216/2, your campaign is unlikely to perform well, even if Yandex.Direct's crawler bots generate the ads for you. The next important factor affecting how your dynamic ads are generated is the structure of your site. For your ads to generate correctly, the three following conditions must be fulfilled. The site must have at least one page with a product list. 2. Each product's name must also be a link to its own page. The link can also be a photo of the product described in alt text that appears when the cursor hovers over the image. The content with the product list must be static and not load the page with script, meaning the products must appear in the HTML code of the catalog's page, since it is the page's HTML code that the bots parse. Let's take a look at each case separately. Let's use Yandex Market as our example, the #1 marketplace in the Russian internet. Products can be organized into lists or as icons. The name of each product is a link to the product page, or if the link to the product page is a photo of the product described in alt text that appears when the cursor hovers over the image. Let's look at the incorrect version. In this case, the problem is that the user can only take a more detailed look at the product by clicking on the Buy button. You can set any button you want. The main problem is that users cannot click on the product name to get more information. The content with the product list must be static and not load the page with script. In other words, the products must appear in the HTML code of the catalog page, as this is what the crawler bot actually parses. Now let's take a look at how to create and set up a dynamic ad campaign with a real example. Let's go to the page in the Yandex.Direct interface where we can create a campaign. To do so, we'll first create an ad group. Click on Create Campaign and select Dynamic Ads. The parameters for dynamic ad campaigns are the same as those for text and image campaigns, so we won't spend time here. Just remember that to move to the second page, you need to set a display region. We'll set all of Russia as our display region and click Save and Next. Now we'll create a dynamic ad group based on Yandex Market. So we just need to enter market.yandex.ru into the data source. Make sure that you have selected Site. You only need to enter the site and the URL parameters, since Yandex.Direct automatically generates a link for each dynamic ad. Clicking on the Add Parameters to Links button lets you give access to Yandex Metrica and other web analytics services to data about your clicks on your links. These parameters will be added to links within the ads that Yandex.Direct generates. Not all dynamic parameters supported by Yandex.Direct are suitable for dynamic ads. Keyword and phrase ID won't work since you don't set keywords for dynamic ads. Use Ad Target ID and Ad Target Name to track impressions criteria of dynamic ads. Please note that the keyword and phrase ID parameters are suitable only for text and image ads and ads for mobile apps. You can transfer various parameters and tags, including UTM tags. You don't need to add a title. It will be generated automatically along with your ad. Enter the ad text. As with text and image campaigns, you can create several ads with different ad texts. Some of the other extensions you can add are site links, callouts, and a vCard. Let's stop for a moment to take a more detailed look at how you can set dynamic text ad targets. By setting dynamic text ad targets, you show which products you want Yandex.Direct to generate dynamic ads for. You likewise have the option to not use them at all by choosing All Site Pages. In this case, dynamic ads will be generated for all products that the crawler bot finds. What kind of difficulties can arise in this case? Ads will be generated even for products that are not in stock, and the ad text will be identical for all products. Choosing All Site Pages makes sense if you don't have a lot of products on your site and they don't change often. Another option is to choose a group of pages and generate dynamic ads only for them. You can create and combine rules that will determine which pages are selected. You can set up to 10 rules, and they should be joined by the operator AND. To get a better idea of how these page selection rules work, we'll go back to the interface. But first, the page selection rules available are URL suggestion list, link to product, page title, page content, domain, and product feed. Let's take a look at them in order. First, we have URL suggestion list, the page with the list of your products that you want to advertise. You can organize your products in whatever way is convenient for you. You can, for example, create one ad group specifically for dresses. So, logically, the URL suggestion list should be a link to the section of your site where all the dresses are presented. We enter a name in the condition name field, all dresses. In any case, the URL suggestion list is a group of similar type products. If your site supports product filtration by availability, you can enter a URL with the parameter already added. Then ads will automatically generate just for those products that are in stock. You yourself won't need to keep track of this. A robot parses your site 2 to 4 times per day on average to check whether products are in stock. Link to product. The link to product rule allows you to create a group of ads for products with a similar characteristic expressed in a specific sequence of characters in their URL. In contrast to the URL suggestion list rule that looks at the entire URL, the link to product rule checks for the presence of a sequence of characters within the URL. The link to product rule can help you highlight your best-selling products. Or, if you want to promote less popular products, you can set the rule to doesn't contain best sell cat. As you can see, there are various ways to complete this task. Feel free to experiment with different selection rules to find the combination that works best for your site. The next selection rule, page title, works in a similar way. According to this rule, the robot will select pages that contain, or don't contain, the sequence of characters you enter within title tags in their source code. So you can tell the robot to only generate dynamic ads for iPhone by clicking Contains and entering iPhone. This means that only pages with titles mentioning iPhones will be selected. The next rule, page content, also checks the page's source code, but in its entirety. One possible use of this selection rule would be to set it to does not contain, out of stock, and you can be sure that dynamic ads are generated only for products that are in stock. Analyzing page content can take some time, so using this specific selection rule can slow down the ad generation process. We recommend using the URL suggestion list rule instead, if your site already filters products based on their availability. The domain selection rule applies the same principle, but only to the domain. When selecting pages, this selection rule takes all domain levels into consideration. For example, to generate ads only for pages of the market.yandex.ru subdomain, set the selection rule to domain contains market.yandex.ru. Subdomains that do not contain that specific line, for example, direct.yandex.ru, will be excluded and ads will not be generated for them. If you want to exclude a specific domain, set a rule like domain does not contain direct.yandex.ru. As we already mentioned, you can combine selection rules with the AND operator. Link to product contains best sell cat. And page content does not contain out of stock. Several arguments can be combined within one parameter. They are joined using the OR operator. Link to product contains best sell cat. Click plus. Link to product contains discount underscore CTLG. This will allow you to promote best-selling and discounted products currently in stock. Now let's take a look at how to load your product feed. Click on Feed, and then to the right, click Add. This will open the Feed Management page, where you can click Add Feed. I should mention that you can upload the feed as a file or using a link. Here you can see a feed that we have already uploaded. It's important to note that the type of feed you need depends on the category being advertised. XML files are used for both retail and automotive feeds. CSV or Google AdWords format feeds are used for both hotels and plane tickets. And real estate uses a special format, Yandex Realty language. You can find more information about the requirements for product feeds in the link in the description below this video. Choose the feed that you have already uploaded from the drop-down menu and proceed to create filters for your feed. Give your filter a name, and for users of manual bid strategies, now is the time to enter your bid for this specific filter. Then you have two options to base your filters on: category trees or criteria. In this retail product feed, examples of possible criteria include vendor, which allows us to target or exclude specific brands, and old price, which we can use to promote products with discounts. Now it's time to talk about bid management for dynamic ads. You have two options. As we already mentioned, advertisers using manual bid management strategies enter their bids when creating filters. There are no recommended bids for dynamic ads. To get a general idea for your bids, the best place to look is in your text and image campaigns. When doing so, keep in mind that insufficient bids can limit your impressions. Your dynamic ads simply won't win the auctions they enter. You can likewise choose an automated strategy, which we recommend. In this case, you won't need to worry about your bids. Just like for text and image campaigns, dynamic ad campaigns must pass moderation and be paid for. To assess your dynamic ad campaign's performance, you need the right statistical data. Let's take a look at where to find it. Statistics for dynamic ads can be found in standard reports in the impression criteria cross-section. Specifically, the search queries report with a filter for dynamic ads criteria. The most important report for dynamic available only by request. The link to order this report can be found on the bid setting page. When requesting a report, you can select the time period and how you want the report to be grouped, by day, week, or year. The report is offered in XLS format and can help you understand which products were advertised in the link field, which titles were generated, and for which search queries the ads appeared. One important thing to note is that the report shows the user's search query, not the keyword that Yandex.Direct formed. Checking search queries provides valuable information that you can use to make your negative keyword list more complete and make sure that your dynamic ads don't appear for irrelevant search queries. So, if we see Philips Seiko HD8769 in the report, and the query setup coffee machine Philips Seiko, the keyword coffee machine Philips Seiko is most likely the one that the robot picked out. In general, the keyword is relevant to the product, but impressions can likewise take place because of nested queries. You can add the word setup to your negative keyword list, since users searching for information on how to set up their coffee machine have most likely already purchased one. And with that, we've completed our introduction to dynamic ads. Let's review the main points we covered. Dynamic ads are an extremely useful tool to reach wide audiences as efficiently as possible. We are working to expand the list of businesses in which dynamic ads are especially effective. The process of setting up dynamic ads is the same as for regular campaigns in Yandex.Direct, and dynamic ads can be generated based on your site or your product feed. Thanks for tuning in to our video course. You can find links to all the materials and tools mentioned in this video in the description under this video.